Welcome, beautiful souls, to the Yatra Sister podcast. I'm Sharita.
And I'm Allison.
And today we are going to talk about something that I would venture to say that pretty much all of us have probably felt at some point in time.
If you have not, then you probably have a different type of stress going on in your life if you've never experienced this.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
I say that's fair.
Okay.
I say it's fair. Okay, so
we've titled it, one of my favorite things to say. I say it all the time.
She does say it
This
all
is
the
like my
time.
favorite line to say, so I'm so excited I found a podcast that makes sense in saying this.
You get to use it.
Is anybody out there? Is
Mm.
anybody out there? So what we're going to talk about is loneliness.
Even that word, I always say words have energies attached to them. Even that word, when you say it,
so
you
sad.
feel that heavy energy even start to creep in. Just
goes
saying the word. Yeah.
Lonely.
Yeah.
And I think we all have a little bit of it, even when you don't have it, you still have it. Does that make sense? You can be in a crowded room with 1,000 people and feel lonely.
Yep, been there, done that.
Right? Yes, you can be in your home, married, with children all the way around you and feel lonely.
Yes, been there, done that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
My poor mom right now, she's lives in an apartment by herself. And it is an elderly apartment, but because it's an elderly apartment, no one comes out because they're elderly.
Yeah.
So it's not a very lively apartment complex.
It's not like the homes down in Florida where they're like getting it on and having a good time. Okay. I was just checking.
I know. Those are awesome, right?
I mean,
Boca de la Vista.
Ooh.
That's what it's called. Boca de la Vista.
Just the sound of it is like, hey.
Yeah, right?
Come pick up your Jimmy hat before you walk into check in at the front desk at this elderly home. Yeah, I know that sounds bad, but
that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be that one.
Yeah.
I want to be, I told my husband, if I get so old that I live in like an assisted living, I want to be the woman that still wears those heels that her foot is shrunk so much she's shuffling in them.
Yeah.
And she puts her lipstick on it, it's like crooked.
Yeah,
and she mismatches her buttons, but she's put all her perfume on and she's still flirting with everybody.
I love it.
I want to flirt with everybody in the assisted living home.
I love it. Because I'm going to tell you, those are the type of women that when I even see today, I'm like, oh my gosh, she is so colorful and have so much life. I want to be her friend.
I do too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't smoke marijuana. Like, I don't. I'm going to go ahead and say that live. I don't. I'm kind of dull, people. I'm sorry. That's the white girl in me, I guess. But I know, Sharita made a face at me.
No, I'm just thinking. I was just thinking.
I think I'm going to start at 75.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I think I want to. I think that would be the perfect time to start with all the caretakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And tell, like, all my secrets. And wear my hat crooked.
You don't necessarily have to smoke it, though.
Well, I could eat it. Okay. I could do all kinds of things. But I think it would be more fun if I did it at 75, smoking it. I mean, I think that's hilarious.
You would be a dope grandma at 75 smoking a blunt. I mean, I'm just saying.
That's my plan.
Like, I know you're relaxed grandma.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then my second plan is to start becoming a criminal around 70.
Damn. Okay.
It's going to take me a good 4 or 5 years to get caught because I'm going to be old. So, I'm going to have to start like crimes. I'm going to be like, building up, because most of them, they're going to be like, ma'am, you're old. You need to go home.
It's just like the Schmademakers or something, whatever, in like Dirty Dancing, who stole all people's wallets. Yeah. Schumakers or something.
Schumakers, yeah. But think about it. Then by 75, I get arrested, and then I've got like food. I've got friends. I'm back in my jail thing where we began.
Oh, our first podcast, jail time.
Exactly. That's my second plan.
Oh,
to avoid being old and lonely. So going back to my poor mom.
Yeah.
She's 77. She's not working. She doesn't drive. She lives alone. And it's so heartbreaking what loneliness looks like.
It really is. So my mom and I live together.
Yes.
Adore my mom.
Yeah, I love your mom.
My mom
I channel your mom.
I told her about that, by the way. But I tell people all the time, if I had a huge list of roommates to choose from, and my mom was not my mom, I would choose my mom.
Yeah.
Because she's just that hilarious and funny and supportive. But I can't imagine. So after my divorce, I was gonna go find another place to live. My mom like had her house and all these bedrooms because my father passed many years ago. And she was like, hey, there's room here if you just want to come and just get yourself together. I know it's really hard and you have room for the dogs. And so I was like, okay, I'll go do that. But when I got there, I was like, man, I'm not going anywhere because A, my mom's just badass and amazing human being. But B, she was very lonely.
Yeah.
She was very lonely. So even though, I have sisters that come visit, she has grandkids that come visit. She had our dog, Kyo, was with her at the time. She was very lonely. So when I hear you say your mom is lonely, like that hurts my heart because there are a lot of lonely elderly people out there, but there are a lot of lonely people out there, period.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
I've been lonely.
Oh my gosh, I go into it now sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Trina, why the hell are you lonely? Like, you just left a place, I'm not even gonna give names, you just left a place at 2 a.m. Like, why are you lonely? You just had a great time. But it wasn't even about the people I was around or what I was doing. It was just still that feeling that
It's
came.
a feeling. I think that's what we're getting at. That it could be a reality of I'm aging and I am living alone, which is a lonely. That's like a true definition. Honestly, I'm lonely. I don't have human touch.
Right.
I'm not seeing other people. To not have human touch, not to have somebody hug you, touch your hand, that right there is a symbol of feeling lonely.
Right.
But then there's exactly what you just said, lonely as a feeling. You can be with people around you at all times, but still have a sense of loneliness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can remember, when I would have all these kids in my house. Oh my God. There was a time I had 5 kids I was raising at the same time.
It's a lot.
Oh, it was insane.
It's a lot.
And then they all had their friends over. And I can remember to summers where we would have sometimes 10 and 15 kids in this house every single solitary day.
Yeah.
And I would hide in my closet and say, I'm so lonely. How funny is that?
Yeah.
But I was so alone in that. Where did this life come from? How did I end up like this? How did I end up with all these kids invading my space?
Yeah.
Having no control of my life. Feeling like I can't do what I want to do. Feeling like it's not going in the direction I want it to go in. Yeah. And I felt like I was hiding in a square inch of my closet, even though there was 15 people in my house.
Right. Wanting your attention.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I didn't want their attention. They were the wrong kind of attention.
Right.
And then I can remember being inside of a marriage and having a partner, but being so alone in that marriage.
Oh, absolutely.
Feeling loneliness inside of a marriage.
Correct.
Oh, gosh. I mean, there's so many different forms of feeling lonely.
Yes. And now let's talk about those because I think that, like, for instance, and I've said it, I'm single. A huge part of me is by choice because I want to be, because of just what I'm focused on, what I'm doing, and I love my life and I love how I can flow within my life. But there's another part of me that feels that loneliness for human connection and have that special person.
Yes.
So that's one part of loneliness. And then we talked about the loneliness of our parents.
Yes.
So I would love for us to spend some time and just talk about just different faces that loneliness wears, because I think a lot of times people might look at somebody's life and be like, oh, there's no way he's lonely. Can't be lonely.
Right.
But he is. And men are often, I feel like in many times, they are just as lonely, if not more than women, because women, at least we congregate a lot.
We can talk on the phone.
Talk and communicate. A lot of times men are in silos with their emotions, their feelings, and how they're feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think men, when they're experiencing loneliness, I just read an article and I loved it. It was in Reader's Digest.
Ooh.
I mean, it was like 4 or 5 days ago. And it's an article that's been in this magazine for like a year. But every time I go to read it, I don't have my glasses. And so I'm always like, oh my gosh, I'm very interested in this. And it talks about making friends as an adult and how hard it is.
Interesting.
Right?
Yes.
And I keep opening it and I'm like, well, obviously it's not my time because I don't have my glasses on. So I guess yet again, I'm not going to have
You're
any
not supposed to read
friends
it.
and I'm going to close the magazine. But the other day I was like, you know what? I'm going to read this. I went and got my glasses purposely to read this.
Okay.
So one of the things it was saying as an adult, which I think is so smart, is that you should have a scheduled time for your friends. So if you sign up for a pottery class, if you would sign up for a pickup football game, if you could sign up for a basketball, if you could sign up, if you have an organized time, that's going to be the easiest way as an adult to make friends. I thought, oh my gosh, that's so true.
It's very true.
Again, that's what we did as kids.
It's very true.
School was there,
Yeah.
so it was easy to make friends, or we were in a sport, or we went to a class,
Yeah.
or our parents had to schedule a play date.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
one of the advice the author started after he was, do you call it the author who was writing the article?
Yeah, we'll say Arthur.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the person was writing it, he decided to call 4 or 5 guy friends who weren't really friends. Like
Okay.
2 from his like work, one was like a neighbor. He was like, anybody he thought he remotely knew,
Yeah.
like a motley crew, he called it Odd Wednesday. So if the Wednesday fell on an odd day, like an odd number, that's when they got together. And it was called Odd Wednesday for
cool.
odd people. And they never made up anything to do. They just got together at random houses. And that's how he started not feeling lonely again. And as an adult, making friends again.
I absolutely love that.
Right?
I love
Reader's
that.
Digest, Odd Wednesday.
And it was meant for you to read it because we didn't know we were about to talk about this.
No.
So this is awesome. So when I hear you talk about that, so I'm not good at making plans ahead of time.
Yes.
But I am that friend that if you got plans and you call me and say, hey, Sharita, I want to do this on this date. Are you available? I will quickly check my calendar and be like, yes or no. I am that friend. So I love the fact that you have a person being proactive because I'm not. And it's not that I suck. I mean, I do suck in that area. But it's not that I don't want to be. It's just that I'm not geared up to do that.
Well, here's the thing, Sharita. I am that person that looks at you and says, how could you be lonely? You're like the cool girl in school. You have so many friends.
Yeah.
Like, you have so many friends.
They are. I tell people I have the best friend. I'm saying this. If you are my friend, I have the best friends in the world.
I know.
Hands
I'm
down.
so jealous. I have
You're
2.5.
You're my friends, though.
I know, but like, when I look at your pool of friends and I look at my pool is like, okay, there's Sharita, and then there's my puppet. Okay, and then I actually have 2 puppets, so there's 2 there.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids are my friends, and my sisters are my friends, but then like I'm done. Like that's my friendship group. Like that's it. Like that's all my friends. Now I see where we're different, and I do understand. You have a ton of friends. You're the cool girl. I'm the awkward friend. Did you invite? And they're like, who is she? And you're like, I don't really know. I just hang out with her. But anyways, I do have a partner.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes you accidentally become lonely because you get settled in what you do have. And I do have a husband, and I happen to really like to hang out with him.
Yes.
Like, I love hanging out with
That's
him.
fun. Yeah.
He's like my favorite person. I mean, he
Yeah.
really is. I know I might sometimes complain, but deep down, he is my favorite person.
Yeah.
He's comfortable. I know him. And because of that, I might have accidentally created other aspects of loneliness because, well, he's there.
Oh, you know what? That's so important that you brought that up because I'm looking back on like my marriages or serious relationships that I've been in, and I need people and especially my friends. If I'm cut off from my friends for a long period of time, it's hard for me because I'm invested. I care. I want to spend time with you. I want to be around you. But it's very interesting you said that because I found that in some of the relationships I've been in, if you're the only friend your partner has, for someone like me, it's very hard, and it changes who I am because I can no longer go out and be with my friends. I'm spending time with that one person because that's what they require of me.
Yes, and that's unhealthy.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like I said, I love hanging out with my husband, but if I only hung out with him, and it's like living in a box and then we can only talk about what's in the box together.
Yes.
And then we bring out things to talk about.
Stuff to say. That's what I'm saying. Go do your thing.
Yes.
Have fun. Bring new experiences into
Correct.
me. I'll bring them into you. I think that's the healthiest way to go.
I really do.
I haven't found that yet. Audience. I have not
Well,
found that
to be
yet.
honest, Trudy, you have to work at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm serious. I really have to remind myself to leave my box.
Yeah.
Because I remind myself when loneliness hits. And then I'm like that guy in the Reader's Digest. I'm like, oh, I'm very lonely. I don't have any friends. Like, how did this happen? Or something happens, something bad happens, and I want to call somebody. I'm like, oh, I don't have any friends.
Yeah.
And it's because I didn't put any effort.
Can you say that one more time?
I didn't put any effort. I'm aware I didn't put any effort. I'm lonely because I didn't put forth the effort. I didn't do odd Wednesdays.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for a class. I didn't
Yes.
say yes to some of those things. And then I go, well, you're lonely because, well, you didn't put forth the effort. I put forth the effort in my marriage. I put forth the effort to get my partner. But now I'm like, well, that can't be it.
That is true. What you said is so important because I often have conversations with a couple of my friends. We just great conversations. But one of the things we were talking about was whenever you do, it's easy to get a friend. The hard part is the sacrifices and the cultivating the relationship to make sure it stays strong over time.
Oh gosh, it's a lot of work. We talked about this in one of our podcasts.
Yeah, I have close friends that go all the way back to the first grade that we still talk, we still see each other, and I'm the type person. If I do something with somebody, I would love to be able to come back to you in 5 years and be like, "Girl, remember when we did this? Like,
Yes.
was that not amazing?"
Right.
But that requires work, like you were saying. You have to work at that stuff.
I do. And I have two girlfriends that we talk regularly, that I've been friends with for 20, 25 years. And we talk regularly. And sometimes we might go 4 or 5 months.
Correct.
We can. It might go 6 months accidentally. But it's like we were talking yesterday when we pick up the phone. We're like, girl, can you believe what just happened? And it's like, catch me up. And I definitely have that. I have a lot of phone friendships.
Okay.
Like a ton of phone friendships. People that I keep in contact via the phone.
Yeah.
But when we were talking about I've chose this or I've created this, here's another reason I think loneliness has happened to me in my life.
Okay.
I don't trust myself sometimes.
Ooh.
I'm going to be very vulnerable and honest.
You're so vulnerable. I feel like I've been exposed on something. Like,
Yes.
that's very vulnerable.
I don't trust myself sometimes. I don't trust myself in social situations. I'm being very honest.
Yeah.
I get nervous. Am I going to say something wrong? Am I going to do something offensive? Am I going to be too authentic and too out there? People are like, okay, she's weird. Why is she talking like that? Am I going to sound unintelligent? Am I going to embarrass myself? I don't know. There's a part of me. Am I going to disappoint them? Am I going to disappoint my husband?
Yeah.
Am I not going to be like you said, am I not going to be a good enough friend?
Yeah.
Am I not going to be compassionate enough? I don't know. What if something happens and I'm like, oh crap, I don't have time. I'm sorry. Can't help you out.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of weird things about me in a social world that I'm like, I'm not sure I trust myself in a social world.
Man, that's important. That you're absolutely right, because we all have those moments where I was just listening to an Audible book on the way up, Viola Davis, Finding Me, which is an amazing book if you get a chance to listen to it. And she was just talking about the Imposter Syndrome.
Ah, okay.
How when she was on, I believe, the movie The Set of Doubt with Meryl Streep. And she was like, it was her first time, I think, being cast in a major movie. She was very nervous. It's Meryl Streep.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
But she was just talking about how even people at the height of their game still in many ways feel like they're imposters. So like you were saying, if you around somebody that you actually like and that, you find somebody interesting and you start talking to them, and then these little things creep in your head like, oh shit, do they think I'm crazy? If I say this, it would be too far out there. Would they relate? That is so true. And I think we all go through that.
Like, I feel so in control when I'm doing my occupation. If I am around people in a social setting that's my occupation, I know my occupation.
Yeah.
I don't feel like an imposter in my occupation. You take me out of my occupation, You put me in this arena that's now a social arena. I really get nervous. I am honestly 100% saying I really don't trust myself. Like, I don't. I'm so nervous. Like, I'm like, because I don't, and I can't be the only person out there that feels awkward, odd, uncomfortable, not sure if I'm saying the correct things. I'm not in corporate.
Yeah.
I don't follow politics. I don't follow sports. There's very limited things we can talk about. There's a lot of things I'm just going to shake my head.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm being childish. You know, there's these books you should start reading. Like, find out information so that you can walk into these white people galas and have something to talk about.
I've been to many of those.
Right?
Yeah.
So I, a lot of times, feel lonely inside of the social gala, during the social gala, after the social gala, before the social gala, 2 days later after the social gala.
Wow.
I am like, I'd just rather be lonely. Like, I'm serious. I will choose loneliness.
Okay.
Loneliness feels more comfortable than the uncomfortableness of trying to fit in. Oh, that was very vulnerable, I just said. It was so vulnerable.
It was.
It's truthful, though.
It's exposure. I love it.
I know.
I love it. This is, I mean, our focus on our podcast is mental well-being. You cannot get to a place of mental well-being by pretending that all of our shit is okay. So I love when we're being vulnerable and we're sharing. I remember so I used to feel like the biggest, if I could just close my eyes and fucking disappear, I would have been so happy in any situation, probably up until my late 20s.
Okay.
Now I'll talk your head off.
You were an introvert at one time.
Oh yeah, still very much so, still am, but I'm able to operate in social settings. And I remember I went to, it's called Nick Conte School of Actors in Atlanta. I was going down to Atlanta to take, he had actors, very amazing actors, but you can write screenplays in this workshop he was doing, and the actors read your screenplays.
Okay.
So I would go down, I would do that. It's the first time I ever felt like I wasn't weird. Because I often feel like I'm weird. I often feel like odd person out. But within that tribe, I felt connected because everybody was weird.
Okay.
We were all writers. So coming back to the gala and me growing up and realizing a lot of times I don't interact when I go to those things. I might stand off to the side and don't have drinks. I would give me a drink and stand off to the side and just check everything and everybody out.
Oh, that's all I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm observing.
Yeah. But I would talk to you too, but I had to get to a place where, and I'm just be straight transparent. There have been many events I've gone into where it could be 400 or 500 white people and I'm the only black person there.
Yeah.
You notice that immediately. At least I did.
Yeah.
And the conversations will differ from people who you know that have been around the black community and are comfortable being around a black person. And I've also had to adjust quickly to people that you know that probably only come across a black person once every couple of weeks.
Okay.
Just in the level of conversations
That's
that you
so
have with
weird.
them. It really is.
Okay.
And it's there.
Okay.
But what I've had to learn in being lonely is, even in those situations where I feel lonely, like I might not be able to connect with anybody, you still learn to kind of weave yourself in the environment so that when that opportunity presents itself to connect with somebody, you're at least able to connect with one person. May not be able to connect with everybody. So in being lonely, for me, what I had to take from all of that is, if I'm able to connect to one person, whether I'm coming off as weird or crazy or whatever, it's my ability to connect that keeps me from feeling lonely in that moment.
I love that. So as long as you can get out there and still practice connecting, it does curve off the loneliness. I 100% agree with that. Because I do go out and I do try to be myself and I do like to connect.
Yeah.
But here's a weird thing that's even vulnerable for me. If I connect with someone and they like me and I like them or whatever, I then still get petrified about starting a relationship yet again. I have been burned so many times recently that I am petrified to start friendships again. Isn't that hilarious?
No,
I'm an adult woman and scared to start friendships again.
So let me ask you this then. So when you're saying starting friendships, that's a relevant term to different people. What does a friendship looks like to you? Like, what is that for you?
When I did have friendships, it was talk all the time, share your secrets, share your desires, hang out, go camping together, go on vacations together, cook together, have big family galas together, have a friend Thanksgiving, have a friend holiday party, always at each other's homes. So maybe I was out of balance even in my friendship arena. Maybe it was too much. Okay. And now I'm learning how to bring it down to a normalicity level.
Wow.
Is probably what was happening. Maybe I was feeling so alone with myself, I surrounded myself by a whole bunch of people. I don't know. It's kind of interesting, loneliness.
It is.
Because it's not necessarily a bad thing. Mm-hmm. And like I said, the time I had so many friends, I may have been feeling very uncomfortable even in that arena, trying to meet everybody's expectations of how I was supposed to be.
That's hard.
Like what they needed me to be. Mm-hmm. They probably needed nothing out of me, but that was all in my head.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, they're going to judge me if I don't act this way, or I need to be funny, or I need to be smart, or I need to be wild and crazy, or I need to be, I don't know. There's so much weird stuff that goes in our head trying to, I think it's fit in, belong.
Yeah, belonging. Mm-hmm. We did. Oh, girl, we would jump through all kinds of hoops just for belonging, and even for a temporary belonging.
Yes. Yeah. Because you want to feel like you belong, which is the opposite of loneliness.
Right.
Now that I've gotten older, I'm kind of like, that is so exhausting. Ooh. I would rather choose loneliness.
Correct.
Like loneliness now doesn't feel that bad.
I enjoy loneliness actually.
Yes.
More. I mean, I wouldn't say I enjoy it. I appreciate loneliness because for me, loneliness allows me that time to pull back and re-energize before I go back out into society.
Correct. Yeah. Because I'm in my loneliness that isn't so bad. Mm-hmm. I can actually, like you said, regroup, get my energy back. But also, it's not exhausting to have to go always change all my different outfits or faces or different things.
Correct.
Trying to fit in or belong. That's exhausting. Mm-hmm. And we do it so we don't feel lonely.
We do. Oh, yeah.
Now I'm like, lonely's not that bad.
No, and I think we need to feel that sometimes. Because, I mean, even, especially now with COVID and how there was so much isolation with COVID.
Yes.
And life, I think, on the whole planet has changed because of that. That's how powerful the isolation was. But I think now people appreciate that loneliness because it allowed us to reconnect back to those things that meant something to us.
Yes.
And so I think for me, that's what loneliness does. It allows me to go quiet. It allows me to actually enjoy a movie for the sake of enjoying the movie than for me like researching and trying to figure out how they shoot this angle, this shot. So it takes me down several notches to where I can just breathe and just be in that moment. Mm-hmm. And not have to worry about putting on a different face for somebody.
I agree. Yeah. Because I'm by myself.
Correct.
I 100%. I like to choose lonely right now in my life because I'm really cradling my time. I'm trying to be very protective of my time, especially since I've made a career change.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to figure out even my schedule in my career. Mm-hmm. So the little bit of pocket that I do have that I can play and have fun, I'm very selective. Very selective. I am not wasting my time going just to not feel lonely, doing something that exhausts me.
Correct.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to be with somebody, it's going to be 100% because I selected that and I want to do that.
Yes.
So I'm kind of like going back full circle in this podcast. I love Odd Wednesday. Okay, I'm going to interact one time a month, okay, with some people so I don't feel all the time lonely, and then I'm good. I'm good, people.
You know what?
That's all I need.
Is Yatra Sisters, we should put once a month Odd Wednesday out, and we should just be like, okay, we're going to go out somewhere and hang out.
And we'll get to know you, and that's it.
Yeah,
we'll draw the line there. I don't need more.
Where we might be at.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we just go hang out.
Absolutely.
This is like an idea. I'm just saying.
In the making. We can't guarantee it.
Yeah, we can't. we have to
because
talk
I
about
might
this thing.
still pick loneliness.
And we're still introverts, so we might want to be alone. So just saying, I'm with you.
Yeah,
But
I
it
might be
sounds
uncomfortable around you. I don't know.
good. Sounds good right now. At the time, at this moment, it sounds
No,
good.
I like what you're saying, because I kind of right now, loneliness is not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
You know, we started out saying, oh, it feels so sad. But, you know, really, it's not. It's almost like, no, I kind of chose it. I purposely did it because it's too exhausting to avoid it.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, I'm finding that loneliness, and we always talk about balance. Loneliness creates for me that balance now where I'm always out there, especially with our podcast. Like we're putting ourselves out there. We're going to different places. We're talking to different people, which is awesome. But for me, that balance, the pendulum swing for me is loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
Go sit alone, go be by yourself, and that's okay.
Yes.
But then that other balance comes back. It's okay, Sharita, you're sitting in here too long by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to swing and go to Odd Wednesdays and, you know, and just hang out with people. So it's
well,
that
and
balance.
I think Odd Wednesdays, though, it's one thing to go out and hang out with people, but if it's not authentic connections, it's not going to help loneliness.
Great point. It really isn't.
It's not.
If you're just doing something just to be doing something,
It's not.
It's not. Yeah.
Because there is that dull side of loneliness where you're feeling nobody understands me, nobody gets me, nobody understands the trouble I'm facing, nobody really cares to put out to truly help me. You know, you felt that.
Yeah.
I have felt that.
I felt it, absolutely.
Where there could be people in your life, but you're like, no one's understanding me, nobody's getting me, nobody's coming over, nobody's bringing me dinners, nobody's wiping my tears.
Yeah.
You know, nobody is here. And then people would say, we've all been here, we're staring at you. And you're like, but it's not an authentic connection.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be around you at a restaurant. It's one thing, you know, to see you at my workplace and you say, how you doing? And of course I'm going to say fine, because it's uncomfortable at the workplace. I'm not going to like lay on the ground and start crying.
Right.
And you go, okay, good. And then you go, but I was always here and asking you how you were. That's not an authentic connection.
No, it's not.
So, you know, if I chose the Odd Wednesday, only once a month, I like my sideline. It needs to be like an authentic connection time. And I think if we have, that's enough. If you've got a little bit of that on a constant basis, I think that's the best remedy of curing loneliness.
I think so. I mean, it comes down to human connection.
Authentic
Human connection. I like that, yeah.
human
Yeah, because you can
connection.
connect with humans in a lot of ways.
Oh, I could get a prostitute, for God's sake, and that would cure my loneliness. But after it was done, I'd probably still feel lonely. Right? Why is she laughing so hard? She really went into an outer space. But you know it's true. You know what I'm saying? You know it's true. You can get a prostitute for a couple of hours.
You can.
Okay, I'm not lonely, but second they leave, I bet it actually
It
amplifies the
does.
loneliness. It makes it worse.
Yeah. No.
Because yes, you can have human connection, but if it's not authentic human connection,
So true. Yeah.
I think that's the end of our podcast. I think right here we're coming to the moment of what we're trying to say. Loneliness happens when there's not an authentic human connection.
Love that. And it's so true.
It is so true.
Yeah.
You know, when I grew up, my mom was very, very critical. She was a very critical person. I think because she came from a low self-esteem, place of fear, that she was not fitting in or belonging. And so it was so fearful that her children were not. I think that was the motivation of her being critical, not from a place of malice or abuse, even though it might have felt that way as a child. I know that was not her intentions.
Okay.
So I grew up with a very, very critical mom, that everything was critical. That's not good enough. You don't look right. Fix your hair, fix your clothes. You're not smart enough. I mean, it was just constant of.
Okay.
And the other thing she would love to do was point out people that were prettier than us, smarter than us, better than us all the time. So we could always see what competition was.
Okay.
Who she actually gave praises to, and it would never be us.
Yeah, which is why you do not like competition today.
I hate it.
I know you do.
It's awful because I was always going to be below or less than.
Gotcha.
My point of this story was, yes, I might have had time, but that wasn't authentic human connection, being with someone that's doing that to you.
True.
That's
a
not authentic
great
at
point.
all.
It's a great point.
It's actually the opposite. It's horrible human connection.
It is, yeah.
So I think you have to really reflect. Hence, yes, as I've become older, I feel those weird voices in my head when you're going somewhere. I have to always remind myself, those are not my voices.
Mm-hmm.
Those are not my beliefs.
Yep.
I'm going to let those go.
Yeah.
When I do that, I become my real self, which is very awkward and goofy. And probably my mom was right on some of the things.
But you know what? When you're that way, it is the best version of yourself that you can offer.
I mean, it's me. It's me, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard because I'm out there very open now, very vulnerable, looking for that authentic human connection.
Mm-hmm. And when you have it with someone, you know it.
You do.
You know it now. Yeah, I know it now.
Yeah, that's why I'm like Seinfeld. He says, I'm good. You should never have more than enough friends of your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like 5 friends, that's it. And somebody wanted to be his friend, and Seinfeld was like, I'll have to call you when a slot opens up.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that way because I'm only interested in authentic connections now.
Correct.
Or I'd rather be lonely, because to me, a whole bunch of connections is still loneliness.
It is, and you're going to be drained at the end of it.
You are going to be drained.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So
that's what we're telling you, people. Go out there. Doesn't matter if it's 1. Doesn't matter if it's 2. Doesn't matter if you don't have any right now. Take a pause.
Take a pause.
Take a pause until you can create it.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're all looking for to help out loneliness is authentic human connection. Is anybody else out there?
Absolutely.
All right.
All right.
So to that,
We say
amen.
amen.
Bye, peeps.